7th of January this year, 2013, I went to Vienna with my colleagues, and Vienna is, as you know, the capital of Austria. And I had a really nice view from my hotel room, and the hotel was quite nice as well. And the first night we went out to have dinner at a really cozy little restaurant, and I had a really lovely vegetarian lasagna. On the way back from the hotel, I actually spotted these really funny litter bins, which I later found out was all over Vienna. But I found it quite amusing with the cigarettes and stuff like that. First morning I had breakfast by myself before I head out to have a look at the town, and there were quite a few nice old buildings. They were quite nice and beautiful, lovely streets. I then had Mozart House, which is the museum of Mozart. Mozart was one of the big composers of Vienna at the time, and they have a whole house, or one of the houses that he spent a lot of his grown-up life living in, as a museum. After the museum, I decided to go and have a look at the St. Stephen's Cathedral, which is one of, well, actually kind of the main Catholic cathedrals in Vienna. In German, I think the name is pronounced Stephansdom. So this was actually started to be built in the mid of the 12th century, when Vienna had become a really important center of the German civilization in Eastern Europe. And so they started to build this church. So they had like an ongoing building for quite a while. There are a couple of towers. They're probably, according to Wikipedia, they are, I think, was 136 meters tall, which is quite tall. That would be 445 feet, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, quite beautiful building, in my opinion. There are 18 altars in the main part of the church, and here we have the stone pulpit that is a masterwork of the late Gothic sculpture, and it was long attributed to Anton Pilgrim, but today Nicholas Gerhard van Leyden is thought to be the more likely to be the carve. This is the Wiener Nostrador altar at the head of the north nave. The Wiener Nostrador altar is composed of two trifles, the upper being 4 times taller than the lower one. And when the lower panels are open, the Gothic grate of the former reliquary depot above the altar is revealed. St. Stephen's Cathedral has an old organ tradition, and the first organ was actually mentioned already in 1334. There are also tombs and catacombs underneath the cathedral, but not open when I was visiting. And I know there was a tour, but it has been earlier in the day. In Vienna, they also have these horse-carried coaches, the so-called fiakers, but I didn't go with them. They look quite nice, but I didn't get around to do it. Besides, the weather was quite ghastly, so I decided against it. At night, I went out with my co-workers again to have dinner, and we went to this slightly fancy schmancy restaurant, but unfortunately I didn't think the food was all that great. The best part of the meal was the dessert, which was a selection of Austrian cheeses, and I really love cheese, so that was great. One thing you really have to do when you're in Vienna is go and see some live classical music, which we did, and it was mainly a Mozart and Strauss concert, and there were some really great musicians, and there were a couple of ballet dancers, and there was also a couple of opera singers, so they were both dancing and opera and just the regular familiar band, not band, but music playing, and it was very much a classical concert and something very typically Vienna, I guess. On Saturday I decided to go for a walk, and I started out walking in the Venice City Park, which is in German Wiener Stadtpark, and the park was designed in the style of the English gardens by the landscape painter Joseph Saloni, while the plants were made by the city gardener Rudolf Seinbach. It was opened on the 21st of August in 1862, and the park was actually the first public park in Vienna. There are quite a few monuments in the park. The Soviet War Memorial is located at Vienna's Schwarzenbergplatz, and it's a semi-circular white marble colonnade partially enclosing a 12-meter figure of a Red Army soldier, and it was unveiled in 1945. The Heroes Monument of the Red Army in Vienna was built to commemorate 17,000 Soviet soldiers who fell in the battle for Vienna of World War II. St. Charles Church, or Karlskirche in German, is a Baroque church, and it's located on the south side of Karlsplatz. And they started to build it in 1716. It was decided on in 1713 and completed in 1737. 1713 was 1 year after the last great plague epidemic, and Charles VI, the Holy Roman Emperor, pledged to build a church for his namesake patron saint Charles Borromeo, who was revered as a healer of plague sufferers. One thing you have to eat while you're in Vienna is a Sachertorte. This is a specific type of chocolate cake or torte invented by the Austrians Franz Sacher in 1832 for Prince Wenzel von Metternich in Vienna. Gustav Klimt, who lived from 1862 to 1918, was an Australian symbolist painter and one of the most prominent members of the Vienna secession movement. And you can find several of his works in the Lippe Museum in Austria. Sunday, 27th of January 2013, which was my last day in Vienna, I came across this parading in the streets, but I had no idea what it was and I haven't been able to. So if you know what it is, please let me know.